Hi, I'm Caleb. Welcome to the show. Shouts out to YouTube. Thank you for having me. If you're watching here on the YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Like, I see a bunch of you watching this, and yet I have no subscribers. So what's up with that? Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. Everything, you can literally find me where to find me on everything at one place. I made that in it's important to me to be able to be found easily when I want to be. Anyways, JupiterSound.Studio. You can find my Instagram, my TikTok, my website, this podcast, and even more about me. So you can check out my music there, everything. Thanks for being a part of this. The Patreon is at the link in the bio, JupiterSound.Studio. The Patreon is $5 a month. Every episode is a little bit longer. It is largely unedited, and Tango can be my my verification for that. And I am trying to not overpromise and underdeliver, but not only is every episode longer, but I am attempting to do monthly bonus episodes, and I have one sitting on this sweet hard drive right here that is February's bonus episode, which it is March 6th, and I have not begun editing yet, but I made sloppy joes for dinner and filmed the whole thing live in my kitchen. And I've followed Maddie Matheson's sloppy joe recipe, and it came out really, really good. So, well, the food did anyways. We'll see how the video comes out. I had 2 cameras going. I had one on the stove. I had multiple microphones. It was a whole time. It was really, really great, and I just need to make time to edit it, which I think I'm going to do today. This is not a weekly challenge podcast. This is a podcast about weekly challenges. And this week's challenge is that I only get to live once. Or at least I only get to remember this timeline once. I think I may be starting to believe in the idea that this isn't the first time I've been here. Maybe this version of me is the first time I've been here on this timeline or whatever, but it's something I've been thinking a lot about recently because it aligns with some other things that I've been thinking about recently, mainly just church and God. And I guess the most raw thought that I have about everything recently has been, what is the possibility that in order to further their agenda of world domination, apparently we're going to do this bit in English then, yeah? So I wonder, what is the possibility that white men, in order to further their agendas of world domination, the ruling party of England, the Crusades, you look at the way England spread itself around the world, I don't know. Has Christianity, has the Bible been messed with at all in there? And if you are a Bible-believing American, your initial gut reaction right now was no. No way. That's cool. That used to be my reaction too. And the more I read the Bible and the more I learn about God and the more I learn about Jesus, it doesn't track with me that it couldn't have been, Okay, I'm back. I was making sure that if I accidentally do a thumbs up or something again, that I don't have bubbles popping up next to my head. That's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, there's just that loose thought that I don't that thought, has the Bible ever been messed with by white people to further their agenda? Has the Bible ever been messed with by white men to further their agenda? Like, so I only get to live once. Or at least I only get to remember this timeline once. And I grew up hearing from a lot of people that meant that there were a lot of things that are just out of bounds for me. And that there were like lines of thinking, feelings, physical things, physical reactions, motor skills, motor functions, not skills, motor functions attached to thoughts that I was never supposed to have. And if they were in my head at all, that was really, really bad. And I needed to practice just taking every thought captive and filtering them through central dogma and the three minds that I should be answering to at all times. And the more that I learn about Jesus, though, and the more I go to therapy, and the more I learn to be in touch with my body, and the more I learn to understand what's going on here when I'm feeling something, or just being able to stop in any situation and quickly assess my physical body, what's going on, what am I reacting to that I may not even realize, and then regulate that. That has caused me to notice the Holy Spirit, and what my whole life I have called Jesus or Holy Spirit. That is when I notice them speaking to me more. And when as I've gotten better at this practice, it's just gotten better for me. And I said this on the after show last week, but the church falls so short of connecting the physical to the spiritual and emotional. We take all three of those things, and the church just it's the body is, because the body is temporary and it's not going to be with us forever, we just need to deny it everything except for what we need to live. And that fucking bothers me. So as I've been paying attention to spirit more, I have to have a fidget toy in my hand. I have to have something. It just is who I am. As I've been tapping into spirit more, as I've been, wow. Just got kind of tight in my chest right there for a second. Because I'm nervous to talk about this stuff. Why does it feel dangerous to talk about this stuff? Why does it feel dangerous to wonder out loud about, is the church, actually, have I actually been taught what Jesus wanted me to learn from the church? I seem like I'm dogging on the church a lot. I'm trying to get away from that. What I'm trying to say is, as I've been tapping into noticing myself more, noticing my body and the connection between my body and my brain, and the connection between the physical and the spiritual, as I get closer to that, speaking of things that feel dangerous to say, why does it feel dangerous to say that is a power that I have? Maybe it isn't dangerous to say that. Maybe I just have a lot of Midwest guilt. But could magic actually be from God? Is the thought that crossed my mind this week. Does being in touch with spirit actually allow me to tap into magic? when I like focus inward on myself, is paying attention to spirit allowing me to, like, I'm choosing to engage with love, joy, peace. I've talked about this. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. What does being in touch with spirit more and in touch with my body unlock a whole new level of magic in those realms that I've never known before? And are people afraid to say the word magic? Because, like, yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of crazy. It's what I've been thinking about this week. Like, do you believe in magic? Because I think I kind of do. I think I always have, and I've been afraid to say that out loud, and I've been afraid to connect it to my belief in God. But, like, what? How couldn't it be? How couldn't mindfulness be considered magic? How could being able to take energy that I'm sensing around me and turn it into controllable physical things, or like controlling how I feel in my chest, acknowledging that and using that and just reassuring myself, how can that not be considered magic, dude? Moving on. As long as we're talking about some woo shit, I was reminded of this story the other day, and I'll just throw it in here quick. So, in 2020, it was either 2020 or 2021, I was in Joshua Tree, California with the band Wayland, my buddies Mitch and Phil. And so at the time, the band was Mitch and Phil. Phil's childhood friend Ryan was playing drums, and I was in Joshua Tree because I was the bass player. And I had learned a large set of music for stuff like singing, like background vocals, and I'm fidgeting again, background vocals and bass parts. And this was the second show that we were playing at this little like brewery out in the middle of the desert in Joshua Tree. And it was a lot of fun. That's not what this story is about. This story is about afterwards and what made me go from believing in aliens to believing. It like took me from Dana Scully to Fox Mulder. Okay. After we played our set, had everything packed up in the van, the plan was there was like an after party somewhere. Mitch and I got out a little bit early. We took Mitch's car and headed back to the house in order to like change clothes and then go to this after party that was like, I believe it was like walking distance from the house, just kind of like up the street a few blocks. So Mitch and I are driving, and Mitch has maps going. Caleb cut that out. Mitch has maps going, and we're driving. It's late, going back to the house. So we get to 29 Palms Highway, the main highway off of wherever we were, and we're supposed to turn right to go back to Joshua Tree. And then from there, it's like 15 minutes back to the house. And so we turn right, and we're driving for 15 minutes. And next thing we know, the phone goes, at the next intersection, make a U-turn. And Mitch goes, what? And we'd been talking, listening to music, like, but again, he's driving. Mitch is sober. He may have like had a hit of weed or two while we were there, but he's not like, I hadn't been drinking either. I don't really drink and play shows anymore. And we look, and it is, if we had not turned right onto 29 Palms, we turned left onto 29 Palms and had just driven for 15 minutes, and we were in the complete opposite direction. And I just remember Mitch being so confused, like, and then apologizing, like, I don't know what happened, dude. Oh, like, why? How did we? Dude, who knows, right? Like, that's freaking crazy. So Yeah, hi, I'm Fox Mulder. What? No. Oh, there, I did it again. I just kicked the fucking camera, dude. Okay, so here's the deal. There's my monitor here, right? My computer monitor, and then there's a tripod behind that with my phone on it, and then behind that is a shelf with a speaker with a light. And then obviously lights over top of me. And someday I'm going to remember that when I record this show, I need to turn off the light that is directly above my head. Let's see, basement, and that would be mid right. Yeah, see? Just that little pop right there, dude. Look, hey, this is all in the show. What's in the show is in the show. Caleb, cut that out. Man, I love being a dad. It's so cool. Evie is like babbling like crazy now, and she's just like a ball of energy at all times. And yeah, the first year was fun. Sam and I had a couple moments in the last few weeks about how tiny she was. Evie was born 2 weeks early, and because of that, Sam didn't breastfeed for very long in general. She never produced very much, but because she was 2 weeks early, her body just was not ready. And I'm sorry, I'm fidgeting again. And Evie was pretty tiny in the beginning, like kind of tiny, like sickly tiny. And we were doing something with Evie called combo feeding. Okay, so combo feeding is the combination of breast milk and formula. And yeah, we just I don't know, she was really tiny. We weren't feeding her correctly for the first 2 or 3 weeks because we didn't know that we weren't feeding her correctly, and because we didn't there was no the guidance from the hospital was like, yeah, she's tiny, but you just feed her and she'll grow and follow this feeding schedule. And we were doing that, but Evie wasn't eating what we were giving her. And so it was kind of like we just had to force her to eat more often because so we just had to be on a more rigid scale, feeding her more often throughout the day in smaller chunks as opposed to big feedings. And really what it came down to is that she's lazy, which, hi, have you met either one of us? That's no surprise at all. So basically she would only eat enough to just kind of get full, but she wasn't eating enough to put on weight is what it came down to, because she's lazy. And I absolutely love that. So she just gets bored with eating, and I identify with that a lot. And yeah, so but it's cool to it's kind of hard to look at those pictures when she was really tiny, because looking at her now, she was just skin and bones. But how would we have known, right? You just have to learn to forgive yourself for that. And she's beyond firing on all cylinders. She is able to keep rhythm as a 11-month-old. She is able to she understands this toy that we have that she can put little figurines on top, and that makes them play music. And she can understand that if she takes it off, it's going to stop. When she puts it back on, it's going to start again. And she swaps out figurines. Boom, but it's bonkers. She's 11 months old. That's she shouldn't be doing that yet. And she babbles and knows who people are, which is a thing that she should be doing. But just, I don't know. I can see it, man. She's so smart. Being able to clap on rhythm as an 11-month-old, nothing complex or whatever, but she, her clapping is to a beat always. She claps along to Miss Rachel at the same time that she's supposed to clap. She gets ready for it. Of course, I'm raising an evil genius. You guys you're not ready. Just not ready. Some news kind of broke this week that if you don't pay attention to tech nerdery like I do, then you would have never seen it. But it's momentous for two reasons, and I'm not going to dive into the history of these things really. You can check out the latest episode of the Connected podcast, which I will put in the show notes. And I'm typing that down right now. Latest Connected episode in show notes. So, interesting news in the tech world. Apple this week ended a very nearly 10-year project that was codenamed Project Titan. And the idea was to develop a driverless car project. It was never like publicly announced. It was very, very secretive, which is very, very Apple. But like if you were looking or paying attention, it was kind of obvious from the outside. For over a decade, they've been hiring random automotive experts. The first one was this guy from Mercedes, and like just all these people, and like Tesla and Ferrari and like Aston Martin and just Google and all this stuff. At one point, somebody from Google named Giannandrea joined the company, and John is responsible for quite a bit. But at Apple now, he wasn't heading up Project Titan, and he technically never worked on Project Titan, but they took everybody from Project Titan and gave them to John Giannandrea and came up with a new thing. And that's what so the first thing is they stopped working on Project Titan, and it's, I think I just said all of that. So John Giannandrea is Apple's senior. This is what's news, and this is what's big, and this is kind of like I wouldn't say is exciting. It's good news to hear from Apple, but I think it's about 5 years too late, which again is kind of Apple's thing. So John Giannandrea is now Apple's Senior Vice President of Machine Learning and AI Strategy, reporting to Tim Cook. He came over in 2018 and basically is in charge of overseeing the strategy for artificial intelligence and machine learning across all of Apple, and the development of core machine learning and Siri technologies. And he's been doing that since 2018. Now, if you use Siri on a daily basis, or you use if you use an iPhone or a Mac or whatever on a daily basis, you may think that he hasn't done shit. And in terms of like the customer or our interaction with Siri, I would say that you're absolutely right. Not absolutely right, but I would say that there have not been very many improvements. But the machine learning stuff is really where they've begun to shine and are doing slow and yet meaningful work. Go watch last year's WWDC keynote if you want to. It's on apple.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. Any of the WWDC keynotes from the last like 2 to 3 years, I mean, even since probably like 2018, you can, and just watch Apple talk about machine learning. Watch Apple talk about everything that they're doing in the background at a core level to make our photos work better, to make our videos look better. A lot of machine learning stuff on Apple platforms is video processing on the iPhone. But also just stuff that they're doing with graphics, and now the M series of chips. Even though it's not artificial intelligence that maybe we directly interact with, like Siri, there is artificial intelligence and machine learning happening in the background on our devices to make them work better for us, or predict things a little bit better, or just, work smarter and make things look better, which is really, really cool. I mean, the way that this image looks right now is largely due to machine learning and artificial intelligence making tons and tons and tons of little micro adjustments to this picture as it's being captured and sent to storage. It's really kind of mind-blowing to me. So Yeah, John Giannandrea is in charge of core ML and Siri technologies and artificial intelligence and machine learning across all of Apple. Prior to Apple, he spent 8 years at Google, where he led their machine intelligence division, research, and search terms. So basically, the reason that Google is so smart, and the way that Google, like especially the OK Google, like spoken assistant works, but just like how powerful Google search is largely like the last 8 years of it, from 2017 prior, from 99 to 17, or 99 to 17, from 2009 to 2017, like that growth is John's responsibility. Before that, he co-founded two tech companies, Tell Me Networks and MetaWeb, and just like, yeah, he's so smart. He knows what he's doing with machine learning and intelligence, artificial intelligence. And I think now moving all of these people out from Project Titan and establishing a artificial intelligence division and giving it to him, doing this new, so this AI strategy is a new division that has been given to John Giannandrea, and he's now the SVP of that, the senior vice president. So really cool to see him move up the ranks at Apple. And I just, what it means for you is that, like, maybe not this year, probably next year, and definitely the year after that, and going forward, we're going to see Apple either blow ChatGPT out of the water and make OpenAI and Microsoft look like an embarrassment again, or they're just going to catch up finally to OpenAI and Google and everybody else, and it'll be more in parity with what everybody else has done in the last year and a half or two. But what's really crazy is to think about where we've come with large language models and machine learning in the last year, especially with the birth of like ChatGPT and these image generation models that can take words and turn them into pictures. In fact, the show art for this show is generated by a AI that lives on Discord, and I asked it to make me some stuff in the art style of a certain person, gave it some prompts, and it gave me the show art. Both the show art and the after show art were generated by AI. And a quick note on that, I'd like to have a conversation with somebody. I'm going to get an artist, like one of my like drawing artist friends in here. I'm a graphic designer. I would not say I'm a professional graphic designer, but I have been doing graphic design since I was 14 years old, and that's 21 years now. So my graphic design can drink now. I consider the fact that I sat there in Discord and chatted with this AI and found a way to take words and get the picture that I wanted, I consider that creating that art. And I'd be curious to think, to hear what other people think about that. So if you want to come on the show and talk about AI art generation and whether I am actually, like, whether I should be credited with creating that art or not, because the prompts would not exist without me thinking them up in my brain, is my argument to that. So yeah, anyways, quick break, and then we'll wrap it up. So I think I want to wrap up today with just a quick note. You're not in trouble. It's about monetization, and it's about Patreon, and it's about joining and being a member. And hopefully I remembered to edit this in a way that like what I'm about to say next is at the top of the show, and then you just see a cut right here, and it makes no sense if you, anyways. So monetization, I've had a couple people like join the Patreon and then stop paying, and like I'm just gonna come out and say it, like, dude, I don't care. The Patreon is there because there are people that exist that is like how they like to show support. You like to send gifts, or you like to support with money. If we're friends in real life, or like friends via the internet, and I mean that in like we talk regularly, I send you memes, we send each other memes, like that kind of friendship, I do not expect you to join my Patreon. That's not who that's for. It's for people who just like watch this and like, think it's cool and they want to donate money. And another note about it is I decided to have monetization be something that is there right off the bat, so that it's in every episode, and that it's something that isn't like, this is called the chicken problem, where I feel like I need to explain myself before I even say a thing that I want to say. Yeah, I guess I just had feelings for a while that like I needed to have a certain size audience before I started offering any kind of like bonus content or blah blah blah, or like asking for money, really, because like, you know, because as things start out naturally like this, the most of the people that are listening are people that already know me in real life in some way, or are, like exposed to me on the internet. And as I put this show out there more and spread it across different mediums, especially on TikTok, where I've gained a bit of a following, like because of my daughter and my wife, it, you know, hopefully, if this show takes off, then the Patreon is there for people that want to contribute in that way. It is not something that I expect of anyone, really. And if you give once and that's all you ever give, then that's amazing. And that's $5 that I never expected to get. And that's really, really cool. And if you give me $5 a month, every month for a year, that's all of that money that I never expected to get. And no, I'm not doing the math on how much money that is. And $600. And I don't I'm just here. I'm just doing it. I'm enjoying it. And if people enjoy it enough and they want to donate, then that's what the Patreon is there for. So thank you. So I think that that's it for this week. I was going to talk about learning to budget. I don't know what it means to fucking budget. I'm 35 years old and I'm terrible at money. Hey, I'm Caleb. This is the show. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. The whole point is that I just want to hang out with my friends and chat. JupiterSound.Studio. JupiterSound.Studio has everything that you need to follow me, give me money on Patreon, whatever you want to do. I love you. Bye.